carry on our discussion that we're having, and a very interesting one at that, with Sandhosh Kumar, who now has Everest tagged to his name. Sandhosh, you've climbed Everest. What else is there? I mean, you know, the world's highest mountain. So what's left?
Well, there are many more challenges. I mean, Everest is the highest mountain, but it's certainly not the toughest mountain.
Okay.
The world's second highest, which is K2 in Pakistan, that's certainly tougher than Everest, and that's a certain achievement in the mountaineering community. Apart from that, I'm currently in the process of trying to attempt the 7 Summits Challenge, which is the highest in each of the 7 continents. And they're all of very different mountains. I mean, you get to go to places like Alaska and Antarctica, and the conditions are very different. I mean, on Everest, the lowest temperatures we faced were minus 25 degrees. In Alaska, it's about minus 40 degrees Celsius. In Antarctica, it's just daytime throughout. So
it'll be totally different challenges.
it's completely different
Is that in
experiences.
fact the case? Is every single expedition that you go on entirely different?
It is. I mean, that's what keeps the mountaineer going. And especially, you get to go to very remote, different places. You get to visit them. And apart from that, the mountains are just completely different because of the weather conditions and location.
Right. I'm going to go back to Everest here and ask. Now, you climbed the traditional South Col route, right? So how does a team actually decide which is the route they're going to go through Tibet or through the other way? Tell us, explain that to us. Sitting here in Chennai, I mean, it's kind of hard to understand this. Tell us.
Over the years, there's been 2 common routes that's usually climbed. It's the one on the Tibet side, and the other one is on the Nepal side. In fact, the Tibet side is cheaper to climb because you don't have to go through the ice fall that I mentioned earlier. But the problem with Tibet side is the government. I mean,
permissions and things
permissions,
like that.
etc., and also the uncertainties. I mean, sometimes they take away the satellite phones or satellite internet connections because a lot of problems with Tibet itself. So, and also the route itself is quite dangerous right at the top. After South Col, as you mentioned,
Yes.
on Nepal side, it's in about an 18-hour day where you go up to the summit and come back to Camp 4. So we start at about 8 p.m. and we try to come back before the sun sets. On the other side, you spend a lot of time, about 8,000 meters, because it's called traversing. So you have to travel a lot at that altitude, and that becomes quite risky. So these are the 2 main factors why one chooses the Nepal side over Tibet side.
Right. Now, I've read about the fact that when you come right up to the top, there are certain people who will go to that summit. Is this in fact the case? Is there when you get right up to the top, is it that, okay, you go on or I go on, or how does it work? Or does everybody get to the actual peak?
No, they do. I mean, this used to be the case long ago, where, for example, Hillary and Tenzing's expedition, there were other teams, and the first team that actually attempted went just below about 100 feet to the summit, and they just couldn't summit anymore. So they had to come back, and then because of various conditions, weather conditions, or they just didn't have enough oxygen, etc. But Hillary and Tenzing were the next team. They made it to the top, and they got all the glory. But those days, you spend all that money in an expedition team. You have about 10 people, hoping that at least one of them will summit, and it's considered a team effort to summit. Nowadays, you know, everybody comes as an independent person. They get on board, so everybody wants to summit. So it's a slightly different scenario nowadays.
So you went. I like the expression that you used, to summit. That's what you call it, right?
Yeah, to summit
okay,
to the
so
top, yeah.
you did that, right?
Yes.
You took a flag with you.
Yes, I took a small banner. I took a couple of banners for sponsors, and I also took a small banner with Tamil Varga on it, yeah.
Born in Pondicherry, studied in Chennai, living in Singapore, truly kind of a global guy you are. So what was that, you know, how would somebody like from Pondicherry on the sea coast get sort of involved in mountaineering? This is, and it's probably a very common question, but it's one that we need to ask you.
Yep, I mean, as a kid, I never had interest in, I mean, I used to, if people would dare me something, I would go climb something, etc. But the actual interest in trekking or mountaineering started when I was in Singapore, and it was just an opportunity where my friend just said, hey, you want to go trekking in Indonesia? It was a mountain called Mount Rinjani. That's where it all began, and that first trekking experience, we never made it to the summit. We never made it to the top. We just
had fun.
I would like to say fun, but it was a miserable trip.
Why?
It was too windy, and we got stuck in a storm. And what normally took people 4 or 5 hours took me over 7 hours. I was in pain, but once I came back from the summit, the experience is something that I really enjoyed in retrospect. And so from there, that's where it got started, and I wanted to continue trekking and actually wanted to make it to the top, and that's where it began. And the interest in Everest came about from a book, actually. It's called Into Thin Air by a very good author called John Crocker.
They had a celebration for you in Pondicherry,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
The other day, I thought that was really nice.
Yeah. I got the opportunity to meet the CM, and the CM organized a little press meet, and yeah, he arranged for press to come, and he thanked for someone who's gone from Pondicherry to the summit of Mount Everest. Apart from that, friends and family. Before we left for Everest, we all got together and we had a nice little function.
Right. So the whole trek, the whole of this climb, took what, 6 weeks or
Yeah,
8 weeks?
60 days.
60
exactly.
days. Okay, so that's 8 weeks.
Yeah.
So 1.5 years preparation for an 8-week climb.
Yeah.
Now, how
And
long
for a
more?
20-minute summit.
20-minute summit, yes. Must be an exhilarating feeling. I can well imagine that. So what is your next mountain now? I mean, how long will you be preparing for that one?
I don't have any specific plans yet. I'm still deciding as to what to do next. So for now, I'm just going to go back to Singapore and work for a while, and then I have to decide. But most of these mountains have a specific time. For example, Antarctica can be climbed only in December.
Okay.
And Denali, the one in Alaska, can be climbed only during June. So at least until December, there are no plans.
Right. So in any case, you will start working on sponsorship and all that as of right now?
Yes. Once I decide what I'm planning to do, I should start working immediately almost.
Right. Yeah. Of course, one of the other things that you did was you brought a focus into child abuse on this particular trip of yours. This is a very laudable, it's really amazing that somebody as young as you could be involved in that. And that will need me to ask you to explain how it came about.
I wanted to do it for a cause. I mean, all my climbs is something that I've done for myself. So I wanted to pick a cause. And if you look at the problem of child sexual abuse, this is something that's seldom talked about. It's something that requires the awareness, especially in our society. And it's a very, very big problem in our society. So I thought maybe through my Everest climb, if I could bring awareness for that issue, it would be great.
Right. Santhosh, I'm going to ask you to wait just a moment because we're going to get right back. Please don't go anywhere because I'll be right back with you on We Connect.